Good Saturday morning. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good one. Beautiful, beautiful day in the neighborhood, East Nashville. 101 with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb, Roy's Meat Service. And talk a little baseball. Jeff Hem, the voice of the Nashville Sounds, right here on 94.9 The Fan. Jeff, what's up, buddy?
Good morning. Thanks
for
having
doing,
me.
man?
I'm doing great. It's good to be with you. Good to talk a little ball at a very cool location, by the way. This is my first time. I'm embarrassed to say. I know it's a legendary spot.
Yeah.
But they've got several of my favorite things here, Greg.
Well, you get to face the beer, okay?
Right.
I just get to that. But yeah, it's right over here in the meat counter. You can't get that stuff at Publix or Kroger, okay? Wagyu beef.
Yeah.
All right? Right over there, there's a small refrigerator where you can get your night crawlers and go down to the Cumberland River and fish.
You got it all.
One-stop
shop, man.
And everything in between. And
Absolutely.
You got breakfast. How you doing, man? Good?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you. I'm doing
Ask
well.
me how I am.
How are you?
After last night, how am I?
I had a feeling we were going to talk Brewers no matter
what.
what.
We're going to lead with the Brewers. I'm getting it. I'm not burning. I'm not burying the lead.
And Jacob Misiorowski has put it on a silver platter for you today to talk Brewers.
I don't. And I know you were working. You had Durham, last night. Got him tonight, and everything in town. Of course, you're in town. That's why you're here. He was. I don't really deal in hyperbole. But that is about the most dominating pitching performance I have ever seen in my life. And I am a baseball nut. You know that.
Yeah. I think, 9 innings, he gave up 1 hit. He saw the minimum. He did not walk anybody.
No.
15 strikeouts, throwing 100-plus as many times as he did, including, I think, 105 he hit.
105.
And then was still hitting 103
His
late
last
in the game.
pitch, the 95th pitch.
Yes.
For the complete shutout.
Yes, through a Maddox. Complete game shutout in fewer than 100 pitches.
93. Excuse me. That's not even. He doesn't even pitch that. So his changeup's like 99.
Right. Yeah.
He hit his 95th pitch 103.
Yeah.
On his 95th pitch.
Yeah, I'm with you on let's be careful, let's not hyperbolize, but I don't think we are to say that what. And on the 1-year anniversary of his major league debut, early in the game when he was getting underway and we were underway, and I was talking about the Brewers, and I was kind of reminiscing about his last few Sounds outings at this time last year, some of which were very good, some were wobbly, and he went up to a year into the big leagues to have that kind of outing, and so I don't think it's hyperbolic to say what he is doing this year is something that we have never seen in baseball, because the velocity we know we haven't seen. Now you're combining that with no walks in a 15 strikeout game.
He's instead of throwing, he's pitching.
It's incredible. And I know that the Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game from 1998, they're like, I don't know if it's Baseball Reference, one of those sites, a Fangraphs, whatever, that puts like a game score to a pitcher's performance. The Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game from 1998, which was also a one-hitter, is arguably the most dominant, the best pitching performance in the history of baseball. Misiorowski did that last night with 5 fewer strikeouts. It was a one-hitter. It was 9 innings, but he had the repeated 100-plus velocity in a strike zone that is a lot smaller than any of those games from the 90s, whether it's a Maddox and a Glavine on the outside corners with a generous strike zone, or the Kerry Wood game. So you're combining velocity with just pinpoint command in the challenge system era. There's no, the umpire gave him a big one there because Philadelphia would have been challenging left and right. So you can argue, and I don't think you necessarily will lose the argument to say that maybe that's a top 5 pitching performance in big league history last night.
I don't. I'm just trying to, because obviously with me, I watched it.
It's try to refute it. What are you going to use to refute it? Say, but this. Okay.
It wasn't a no-hitter.
Right, but it wasn't a no-hitter, but it was
the minimum.
It might have it was more dominant in a lot of ways than a no-hitter.
Because he was erased with a ground ball.
Yeah, and he struck out 15.
He
didn't walk anybody. Yeah. How do you throw 100-plus miles an hour time after time after time and not walk anybody?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, it's good visiting with you, Jeff. Thanks for stopping by. I got everything I needed from you.
I mean, it's again. I am trying to be, like you said, hyperbole comes into play a lot sometimes in the broadcast and sports world. We always want to put that was a classic performance. We always want to designate it as something right after the fact. We are not hyperbolizing that Jacob Misiorowski game.
I'm going to go
night.
see the Brewers at the Cardinals. Me and the Cardinals, before Putin invaded the Ukraine, I would have been for Russia before I would the Cardinals. And they're playing a makeup game. So July 6th, the Monday after the 4th, they got a night game in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. Then they got a makeup at 1 o'clock, and then they got a night game Tuesday. So I'm going to see 3 games in 48 hours.
Nice.
It'll be my luck he's not pitching any of those 3.
Well, hopefully it lands on a day for
Did you? Well, now I want to stick with it. You said, obviously young.
Yeah.
But what you saw of him, I'm thinking, though, not necessarily throwing, now pitching, but his disposition. Did you see that? Because he just seems to be – nothing seems to affect him.
He's a really good kid.
Yeah.
And what I observed from Misiorowski last year when he was a Sound, and at the very end of 24 he came up, is a kid who wants to be great. Not just I throw hard, so that's all you're going to get. He wanted and worked hard on a changeup last year, and still is a work in progress. And, we as fans, and I say this to myself a lot, following AAA guys, you see them get called up a lot. They are not finished products just because they go to the big leagues. If anything, they've got to work even more to keep getting better at the big leagues than they did when they're at AAA. So the idea of this time last year he was going up and, I knew he was going to become you knew he had the stuff. You knew he had the work ethic. You knew he had the mindset to want to be great, but nobody could necessarily predict that he'd become the best pitcher in baseball 1 year later from his major league debut. But the ingredients were there because he already had the velocity. You knew he was going to get stronger, and he was going to continue to develop his pitches and then further realize how to try to get big league hitters out beyond just throwing 99 and 102 and all that. So the ingredients were there.
And I was not a fan of him making the All-Star game last year. I just didn't think he had enough body of work. Of course, as a Brewer, obviously, you want that attention, smallest market. But anyway, Jeff Hem, he is the voice of the Nashville Sounds. You hear all their games right here on 94.9 The Fan, including 6:35 tonight against the Durham Bulls. And I texted you the other night. I was driving, but we had a watch party for the Cats. Now, by the way, I'll promote it a little bit later. We got 3 straight home games today at 4. Minnesota, Albany loses last night, so we're tied for first place right now. And we got to still obviously get stuff done. Albany comes to town. It's Predators night. Pete Weber, Willie Donick will be up there.
Nice.
It's sort of hard to get current players because they're all over the world right now, and they're off. But we got a good contingent of Preds fans or Preds people coming up. How the Sounds are doing? They're 16 over 500.
Yeah, the Sounds are in it sounds odd to say it in the middle of June, but the Sounds are in a playoff chase right now because this is the 4th year now where AAA has used the split season schedule format. It's not the big league style where you're clinching a division in September and it's going down to the wire. So the mathematical first half of the Sounds season ends next Sunday in Memphis. And the Sounds are battling with Memphis and also Rochester, 3 teams within a game of each other, battling for the first half playoff spot. In a 20-team league, it's not about your division. You've got to be the best team in the league record-wise at the end of a half. And in the first half, if you do that, you host the International League Championship Series in September. So the Sounds right now are a game behind Memphis, half game behind Rochester, after losing last night, and those 2 teams won. So they're doing great. They're in the playoff mix. They've got several top 100 prospects, including the 2 guys I'm sure that you saw in the news the last several weeks with Cooper Pratt and Luis Lara getting contract extensions with the Brewers. So it's a really exciting, impressive, one of the youngest Sounds team I've ever covered in my time. When you look at how many guys are 25 years old or younger, they're playing great. and they're in a playoff chase that'll be, and this one will be decided by the end of next weekend. And if they don't make it, then they still have the second half opportunity. But so they're in a race of their own, several games above 500, and of course you're still constantly losing guys and going up and down, and so it's interesting to be in the middle of June and to be scoreboard watching as much as we are. But that's the schedule format, and in general, I like that schedule format. The last time the Sounds made the playoffs was 2022, which turned out to be the last year of the full season format. They clinched the division in September, and then it's like 3 days later you're in the playoffs. If the Sounds can win this first half, then we've got a few months to promote that the Sounds will be hosting playoff games. And, at AAA, you have so much movement that if you have a rough April, you're 15 games. Like this Durham team is struggling right now. They're well under 500.
They've always been good.
And they have always been good.
Yeah.
And so it's like they'll reset the standings with the other 19 teams in the league after next Sunday. And if you didn't have that schedule format, from a standings perspective, they'd be shot. So it gives hope to teams to have a chance in the first half or the second half. So I've grown to like the schedule format. I didn't love it at first, being a little bit more traditional. It's like the long season. You should have the value of winning your division late in the year because it means you've been good for 6 months. But at AAA, you have so many unpredictable factors that play a role in how good your team can be because the roster changes so much. So this, I think, helps in that way. So to answer your question in the long-winded broadcaster way, the Sounds are doing great, and they're a game out of a playoff spot with 8 games left in this first half.
Jeff Hem, voice of the Sounds, with us. One-on-one with Greg Pogue, Roy's Meat Service, East Nashville. You need to cover that up. That way you get it.
I need a commercial break.
We need a commercial break to get your breakfast in you. Rick Sweet. I mean, just amazing.
He's a legend.
He's
a legend.
Yeah.
You
1,500 games? I mean, I don't know.
He has won 2,400 something games.
Like I said, 2,400 games.
36 seasons of minor league managing. If you didn't see the article that came out this week, you need to go on The Athletic. It's a free-to-read article, even though The Athletic is subscription-based. Yeah. Tyler Kepner of the New York Times and The Athletic wrote a fantastic piece that really encapsulates the essence of Rick Sweet, his younger days, getting into managing, his days as a player. I'm telling you, folks, I'm not a paid endorser of The Athletic. This article is so good because Tyler is one of the great baseball writers we have, and he was in town a couple weeks ago, talked to Rick, talked to some of his former players, talked to others who were his mentors when he was getting into this business. He's closing in on second all-time in minor league managerial wins. I believe he's 17 away. He's like 50 wins away from number one all-time. So it would take the Sounds having just barely their best season ever for him to get to number one by the end of this year. But he soon will be the all-time winningest manager in minor league history. Just a legendary career. And I feel very fortunate just to kind of be along for the ride. Yeah. This is the 7th team he's managed that I've covered. And he just loves talking ball. So whether it's pregame or postgame, there's nothing that I can't ask him to talk strategy. Hey, what were you thinking here? What are you thinking there? I'm very fortunate to get to be along
and the Brewers are very fortunate because you look at the churn of that roster.
Yes.
And Cooper Pratt, you just mentioned, Jackson Churio, they locked him down.
Yeah.
This even goes back to Ryan Braun when they see somebody that, hey, 4 years from now, we're not going to be able to keep him, all right? So they bet on them and keep them 10 years.
Yes, yeah.
And this is – although they don't have that ring, this is the best of times.
Yeah. And all you can hope for, I think, as a major league team is to have as many bites at the apple as possible. And they've been in the postseason, I think it's 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 9 years.
8 out of 9, yeah.
And look where they're atop the division right now.
And a couple pitches here and there from going to a World Series.
Yeah.
A pitch to Pete Alonso was one of them.
That's one of them. But the well-oiled machine that the Brewers are at literally all levels, the infrastructure, the baseball operations department, the blending of the analytical side with the immeasurable side, they are very impressive at what they do.
Jeff Hem, he is the play-by-play voice of the Nashville Sounds here, 101 with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb. Roy's Meat Service in East Nashville. Jake Steigelfest producing back at the 94.9 The Studio. More with Jeff when we come back. The Cats are back in town, 4 o'clock this afternoon, F&M Bank Arena, in first place right now. Albany's first loss of the season. We have one loss. They come to town next Saturday. So, it's a big game, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Predators night with that, Pete and Willie and that whole crew. University of Iowa, are you a Hawkeye?
I am a Hawkeye alum. Yep, 2004.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Aurora, Illinois,
okay.
West suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
About 45 minutes outside of Chicago. So,
why Iowa?
Well, I went to Augustana College in the Quad Cities in Rock Island, Illinois, my first year of college to play baseball, Division III. Thought I would hang on to playing it as long as I could, but it didn't turn out to be what I was hoping it would be there. So when I realized I wanted to transfer and basically give up playing baseball, I knew I wanted to go somewhere big. And I was already familiar with Iowa. My sister was a student there at the time. My uncle had worked at the university going farther back, so I had made several trips to Iowa City before I realized I was in the market for a new school. So when I started looking around, it was a fairly short list of where I might want to go. I knew it would be relatively close to home, far enough away from home, close enough to home, big school, Big Ten. I'd already been there. I liked it. I knew people there. So that's where I landed. And I tried to walk on there on the baseball team knowing that, like, what do I have to lose? And I didn't make the team. And I was like, okay, done playing. Now we'll figure out what's next from there.
Yeah.
So
what a wonderful setting at the football games with the Children's Hospital.
That's become a very cool thing. That wasn't happening when I was there, but that's really a neat moment every game. Yeah, no doubt.
Tell me about growing up. Aurora, mom, dad, brother, sister. What do you got?
I got a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister. I'm the youngest of three. My brother now lives in Houston. My sister's in Kansas City. My parents are still back in the Aurora area, and I was very, very fortunate to have a very good childhood with supporting parents, playing all the sports, doing all the things.
In suburbia.
I mean, and you name it, I tried it. Swimming, tennis, football, basketball, baseball. I'm probably missing one. Like I was very
hockey.
I never played like formal hockey, but we played a lot of roller hockey in the street with rollerblades and just, it was.
Did you grow up a Cubs fan, White Sox fan?
I grew up going to both, and then I got to about 8, 9 years old, those formative baseball fan years, and I'm left-handed, and I was a first baseman, so I gravitated to Mark Grace. He was like my guy with the Cubs. My brother was he's a right-hander and a second base. He was all about Ryan Sandberg.
I was going to say Boog Powell. But
no, not Boog Powell. No, Mark Grace was my guy, and so I gravitated then more Cubs. But we went to a lot of both games. I've got family members. Old Comiskey, and then later New Comiskey and Wrigley Field. Went to games at both stadiums a fairly good amount, and I had family with allegiances on both sides.
When did the baseball bug bite to be a fan?
Right there in those years. I mean, the 8, 9, 10. I mean, I played Little League, and then. Being fortunate enough to live relatively close to Chicago and a family that was a sports family and had the means to go to some games, I got hooked, and it just became and it also got to the point where if we were driving somewhere or on a vacation somewhere or seeing family and wherever, and there was a stadium nearby, typically it was when it was not in season for whatever that stadium was, but we'd just drive up and kind of look for an open gate, and you could find them back in the day, pre-9/11, and just kind of walk right in. I mean, we played like a little family football game in the end zone at Candlestick one time. There's a photo somewhere of like us at Three Rivers Stadium, like in front of the Stargell circle on the wall where they'd notated his retired number. We just kind of drive up and look innocent enough and kind of work our way in, and every now and then a security person would come by. Excuse me, folks.
Thieves.
We're just from out of town. We just want to see the stadium. Oh, okay. One guy gave us like an impromptu tour of Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia one time. I don't remember like the moment. I just, as far back as I can remember.
You remember your first game?
I think my first game was with some family friends who had seats down along the third base side at Wrigley Field, like behind the kind of the tarp and the bullpen area. And I think that was my first game. If that wasn't, then the first game would have been like a Cub Scout day at Old Comiskey.
Yeah.
And so somewhere in that neighborhood was my first game. I remember being at the White Sox game when Andy Hawkins for the Yankees threw a no-hitter against the White Sox but lost. And I think that was 1990. I would have been like 8 years old. So somewhere in that neighborhood were my first games.
Mine, I was Little League trip, right, from Bowling Green to Old Crosley Field. And I saw the Giants and the Reds, and I saw Willie McCovey hit 3 home runs. And I was a baseball card geek, so I knew who Willie McCovey was. And they all 3 were just line drives to the same fan could have caught all 3. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember that the left field not having a warning track, but the incline in left field.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Jeff Hem is our guest, talking baseball, obviously the voice of the Nashville Sounds. In Iowa, is that where the broadcast started to click in?
It was, and it was late for me. I mean, I hear from different students and young people who want to become broadcasters, and they're in high school already with like a demo tape because of how popular like broadcast programs have become at schools, both high school and college. It was late for me. It was really going into my senior year at Iowa. Or I guess really late into my junior year when I became a journalism major, and even that, though, wasn't geared to play-by-play. So it was late for me it's weird. I at first I went to college thinking I'll be a history teacher so that I could coach, and that'll be a way to stay in sports. And then I kind of gravitated away from that. I bounced around, wasn't sure what my major was going to be in kind of the middle years of college, and so even though I had watched thousands and listened to thousands of sports games as a kid and growing up, it didn't click for me until late into college. Like, oh yeah, I could become an announcer. Like I don't know why it hadn't clicked, but it hadn't. And then I got into it late in college, and once you do it, and right away, it's like, oh man, this is what I want to do. This is fun
the big
stuff.
Money, big money.
Yeah, right.
No,
but it's just that, like, wow, I'm at the game. I'm calling it the unscripted live event is what I've learned. I'm really passionate about, whether it's radio, TV, football, basketball, whatever it is. Like, for me, what I've learned that I really like is just that when you put that headset on and they throw the first pitch or kick it off or tip it off, you don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming. And we as the broadcaster have to try in the moment to kind of find the words and describe it.
It's reality.
You can't beat
it's
that.
Reality TV.
True reality.
True reality TV.
Yes.
And with that Jeff Hem voice of the Sounds with us, your first job.
First true job.
When you got a check.
Yeah. First true job would have been to be a producer, a board operator at a radio station in Aurora, Illinois. But that was not really, that was like a very part-time job, trying to get in to just see, like, what's this even like? What's it like on the other end at that point of, like, hey, I'm back in the studio pushing the buttons and playing the commercials. First time I got paid to do play-by-play would have been local access television fast-pitch softball games in Aurora, Illinois, and I was terrible.
Was that like a semi-pro?
It was very competitive. There's a whole very competitive league in that area of men's fast-pitch softball, and they would broadcast the games with like one camera behind the backstop, and I did play-by-play. There was an analyst who knew far more about fast-pitch softball than I did. God, those games, I was probably so bad. I was probably trying to beat Joe Buck. Like, I just didn't know. I didn't even know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember the first inning. After, like, the first inning, we go to commercial, quote-unquote, and the analyst was like, by the way, it's a circle, not a mound. I was calling it the mound. Softball, it's not a mound. There's literally no mound in softball. It's the pitcher's circle. I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't either. To this moment, I didn't know
just,
that.
The verbiage, the lingo, the jargon.
There's a rubber, it's a mound.
Yeah,
right?
So I was so bad, so bad. But I was so fortunate to have a couple of people kind of in my corner, just trying to, hey, this kid might want to be a broadcaster. Let's help get his feet wet.
High school stuff.
Yeah. And so then that led to some high school basketball where I was the analyst. The first baseball job was an internship in Battle Creek, Michigan. Out of college, got hired by an Iowa alum. So there's shocking, folks. There can be some nepotism in this world. Yeah. Sometimes it's familial.
Well, they say it's who you know.
Yeah.
I said, no. It's who you know and how well do you know.
That's right.
Them.
Yep. So I applied. It was an internship. The Battle Creek Yankees were in the Midwest League. They were single A for the Yankees. The entire staff, except for 2 or 3 people, were interns. And I was getting $500 a month to call games, and I thought I was doing Game 7 of the World Series. Like, that was the first time I was really getting paid to do play-by-play. We were internet only, but I didn't care. I was getting paid to do play-by-play. I joined the team. There were 2 of us. The first guy had graduated from his school in January, so he picked him up in April for opening day. 2 days after I graduated from Iowa in the middle of May of 2004, I was off to Battle Creek, Michigan. Joined him mid-season, finished it out, and it led from there. But that was the first time really getting paid repeatedly to do play-by-play.
Was really the first one, though, the 7 years with the Kane County Cougars?
So Battle Creek was 04, and then the job opened up in Kane County going into 05. That's my home area. I mean, Kane County is suburban Chicago. Aurora is part of Kane County. So that was a hometown gig for me. I was able to live at home, save some money.
Yeah.
That was really the first full-time opportunity. Was in Kane County 2005. Was there for 7 years. That's a great operation, a great situation. So I was able to be selective in what I wanted the next step to be, and then came to the Sounds in 2012, and here I am.
That's where we are. That's where we're going to take a break. You finished your breakfast. I see that.
It didn't take long.
Wow, that was he gets you another sausage, egg, and biscuit. All right. It is 101 with Greg Pogue, our guest, Jeff Hem, the voice of the Nashville Sounds, and does a lot of stuff, obviously TSSAA stuff, Fox 17 stuff, a lot of TSU. I know you and I have shared a lot of with over at Tennessee State over the years. Jeff Hem is our guest right here on 94.9 The Fan. Not like little Black Sabbath on a Saturday morning.
Attaboy. It'd get you going.
Let me tell you about the Boulevard Bar and Grill. I love the place. Jeff Nebel, a good buddy. The owner, Tay, Leah, the managers there, wonderful people. Specials, daily specials. BoulevardMurfreesboro.com. It's it's right across from campus, MTSU campus. And Jeff also owns 2J's restaurant there in Murfreesboro. It's the home of the MTSU football, basketball coaching shows. Our buddy Chip Walters hosts the football, men's basketball. I host the women with Rick Insel. Now his son Matt will be doing that this year. This is the cool thing about it. They have you can bring your dog and go onto the patio, and they have a mooch menu where you can actually order food for your dog, whether it's a chicken patty or like a $5 chicken patty or a burger or whatever. So just I don't know if you ever know a place where you can bring your dog and they have a menu you could order for your dog?
No, I've never taken my dog to a restaurant. I think I can now.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of people say, well, I'm already there, so it's gone to the dogs. Anyway, check them out the website, BoulevardMurfreesboro.com. All right, Kane County Cougars. And 7 years there, how did the Sounds, this is 14 seasons for you?
I guess so.
2012?
2012 was the first year. Yeah.
How did it come about?
Before I came to the Sounds, I was up for an opportunity in Memphis with our pal Steve Selby.
Steve.
And Steve,
former voice of the Sounds.
To work with him, I would have been like the number 2 guy there for him. And so when I applied for that, I sent along a CD of my work. He thought I wasn't terrible. And so we developed a relationship over a couple of years where if he heard a rumbling of something going on with any kind of an opening, he was kind enough to keep me in mind. So he at one point said, hey, I think the Sounds might have a need this winter. I don't even remember when in the calendar this all was. Like, I think the Sounds have a need, have your stuff ready. Turns out they did.
Was that Steve Carroll?
No, that was farther along. So it would have been Stu Paul was the Sounds announcer in 2010 and 11, And then the job opened up going into 2012.
Okay.
And that's when I was in the mix, interviewed with the Sounds and Brad Tamman and Doug Scopel at the winter meetings in, I think it was Dallas, and had an interview, kept the conversation going, and later was offered the job. So, you know the minor league baseball world. In general, it works the same way for a broadcaster. In theory, typically you might start out as a secondary guy at Double-A, or you're the lead guy, but you're an A-ball. And the goal for most is to get to the big leagues. Well, you got to try to kind of climb that ladder the way a player would. So I was not unhappy in Kane County. Like I said before, it was a great situation. That's home, a lot of family there, very good operation. A lot of guys had gone from Kane County to the big leagues. But it was single A, and yes, it's in the Chicago market, but it's also not in the Chicago market in some ways. So the job with the Sounds being AAA and in this city was a step up in salary, in career, in opportunity, and I felt like I had to take it, and I did, and it's worked out. It worked out great. There was no promise of any new ballpark coming along a few years later, but that made the job even better. But I worked 3 years at Greer Stadium. We opened up First Horizon Park in 2015, and it's become a great spot. It is funny too to think back to other jobs that I had applied for along the way and didn't get. I've gone to some of those places now, and I'm like, okay, blessing in disguise perhaps that I didn't get that job. This has turned out to be the Sounds, like when you factor in the stadium, the city, how we are treated as Sounds employees by our owner, Frank Ward, and the leadership there, and the market. I'm not trying to I'm not saying this for my benefit. I think it's the best AAA spot in baseball, and then the broadcast job makes that a really great opportunity within the broadcast world of minor league baseball. So I'm very fortunate to the path led me in a way that there's no way to know how it's going to lead you at the time, but it's just worked out great. We love it here in Middle Tennessee.
Doug Scopel hired by Larry Schmittou, right?
I think so. Doug's been there he's been there since 2000 or 99.
Yeah, I think that's the bridge.
So, yeah.
I can't remember another time, but he's good Lord.
Yeah.
Doug's been there forever.
Doug is a Sound. He is through and through a Sound, and
he's done everything that you can do with that organization.
He's been a great resource and friend for me, especially when I first got there, just kind of learning the lay of the land, and it has been a great spot to be with the Sounds all these years.
Voice of the Sounds, Jeff Hem with us, 101 with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb. We are at Roy's Meat Service in East Nashville, here on 94.9 The Fan. Jake Steigelfest producing along the way. I see you got a wedding ring on. Tell me about your wife, kids. Give me
the family resume.
Yeah, give me caught up.
Yeah, my wife Alyssa is wonderful. We've been married since 2008. We're from the same area, though we didn't start dating until we were at separate colleges. She's a Badger, I'm a Hawkeye. So we dated for several years when I was doing Kane County, and she was still finishing up school. So she really learned what it's like to be engaged, dating, now married to a baseball broadcaster, really getting a sense of that long season and how much the road comes into play. So that has made our relationship as healthy as it is, because she learned what she was getting into. Doesn't mean she always likes it or that I always like it. But
I've been married, 37 years, and we're going to need that.
I think it just got pulled up.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yeah,
there we go. We're good.
Yeah, that's our
internet cord was in jeopardy, but we're fine.
That's not going to keep us from talking. It's going to keep people from hearing.
Correct.
If that button, if that cord gets pulled out,
Jake will buzz us if we're off the air.
Yeah. We had a guy wrap around his leg.
It's all good.
And just pull it out.
My wife is.
But I was saying we
tremendous.
We get along great because we just never see each other.
Well, there can be value in that.
Kids?
We do. Yeah, we've got a daughter and a son. Our daughter's 12. Our son is 8, about to
What's
be
her
9.
name?
Greta.
And
Hudson is 9, going on to. We're about to have a teenager and a 10-year-old here in a couple months. So it feels like a very big year of they're not little kids anymore.
No.
They're getting in the other direction toward young adults. But
are they baseball fans?
My son is. Greta's not. She's not a baseball fan, but she's not into it really. But my son has started to play it in the last couple years. and has gotten hooked. And, of course, with my job, he'll come along to the ballpark a couple times, and he got to come with me to spring training this past year, and, like, he had seen Jacob Misiorowski last year as a Sound, and he got up close to Misiorowski and Christian Yelich and Sal Frelick, and so he's at that age. Like you were asking me when my first games were, that 8 or 9 year old range. Well, he's in that range now, and I'm kind of seeing it through his eyes, which is very special and cool as the father to see. Like, it helps me. I think we as broadcasters need to have somewhere in us that childhood love memory of it. Like, I think, because it can feel like a job. It is a job in a lot of ways, and it can wear you down in ways, but it's like, now that I'm starting to see it kind of, it's like, whoa, that's Jacob Misiorowski. And it's like, yeah, it's Jacob. Like, to me, it's like, Jacob's great. I've met him before, like, kind of a no big deal. But it's like, we need to remember that the games are that to kids. And so that part has been fun now as at the age my kids are at. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, get ready. When my daughter turned 14, she was abducted by aliens, and they returned her when she was 18. When she realized that mom and dad had the money.
That's right. That's right. I'm very thankful. They're happy. They're healthy. We're good, and we're making it work. And it's been good.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw out some names. I remember you telling me a few years of Bryce Terang. Mm-hmm. In my mind, and I know, me with the Brewers, best second baseman in baseball.
Yes.
I don't think there's any discussion there now that he's hitting, 300 with power, a little bit of power, too.
Yeah. I agree. I think, the baseball world for scouts and front offices is so hard to forecast for them. They're really good at thinking, okay, if this guy gets bigger, we think he'll get stronger. We think he could play here. We think he could play there. There's still no guarantee with any of this. But I was on the Bryce Terang train in 2022 because he was in there every day for the Sounds at shortstop, and the glove was there. And you knew the bat was probably going to come just as he naturally got bigger and stronger. And I think the same thing is happening for Cooper Pratt now.
Well, and that's the next one.
He's already bigger and stronger now than Terang was at that age. And now you see some of the power that Terang's got offensively to match with the defense. And I think Cooper Pratt is quote-unquote ahead in that regard of where Terang was. But that's a cool part of the job too. When you cover a team every day, regardless of sport, and you're at, their practices or their shoot-arounds, or in my case, you're watching them take batting practice every day, and you're on the bus with them or the plane, and you see the work that needs to be put in. That is easy to forget for the fan. I think that these guys are putting in literal hours and hours of work in the heat every day before the gates open, and you've walked in to grab your hot dog and sit down. It's their job, and they work really hard at it. And some guys are good enough to get to the big leagues. Some guys are good enough to get to the big leagues and stay. I also am just very proud to follow AAA baseball because we need to remember how good the players are that don't get to the big leagues just because it is insanely hard to get to the big leagues. These AAA guys are still so good, and they can make plays that very few people can make. But it's even harder to get to the big leagues.
Well, it's also at the
there.
right place, right time too. You could
circumstance can play a role.
Your position, any second baseman in the Sounds, the Brewers are set, right? Jackson, sure, that position.
Yeah.
But with Cooper Pratt, though, tell me about him.
He is very impressive. He's 21 years old, might be 22. Drafted a few years ago out of high school. And they, in April, locked him up to an 8-year contract extension. He is so good on defense. He won a minor league Gold Glove a couple years ago, which they give to one guy at every position. It could be A-ball, could be AAA. So it's pretty stiff competition to win a minor league Gold Glove award, and he won one 2 years ago. And his offense is getting better and better this year. The Brewers have quite a player for their future in Cooper Pratt. But defensively, he was already a wizard when he got here.
Well, a little bit of a luxury that they don't. I mean, Joey Ortiz is now starting to hit a little bit better, and so they don't have to rush him along. They're winning also.
Yep. And they said, look, Cooper Pratt is already a major league shortstop defensively, and the offense is coming along to the point where, regardless of it doesn't have to mean that Joey Ortiz leaves the Brewers for Cooper Pratt to go up. It's getting close, in my personal opinion, to the point where it's like the Brewers would just be a better team to have Cooper Pratt than to not have Cooper Pratt. So it's just interesting to me, like playing armchair GM, like at what point does he go up just because his offense is
they're paying him to be in Milwaukee, not Nashville.
Well, in a sense, but they're playing the long game too. And the same thing with Luis Lara in the outfield. Just because they signed him to a long-term contract doesn't mean they're calling him up the next day. It allows everybody the benefit of like, okay, we know where we're at, like monetarily and commitment-wise. Now just go play and let your play do the talking. And Pratt talked about how that was his biggest reason for wanting to sign a contract that could become a bargain to the Brewers later on if Pratt becomes what he becomes. But he said, this allows me to kind of put that out of my mind and just play. I don't have to worry about the money and all that. So it took the pressure off for him to sign that contract. But, man, every defensive play he makes, regardless of how challenging it is, that throw comes in chest high to the first baseman. He's so smooth at shortstop. It's so fun to watch.
Take a break, be back and wrap it up. It is 101 with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb, Roy's Meat Service, East Nashville, here on 94.9 The Fan. Got a few more moments. 101 with Greg Pogue, presented by Freeman Webb. We are at Roy's Meat Service in East Nashville. Jeff Hem now walking out with a Roy Meat Service T-shirt.
Walking out proudly with a shirt.
Yeah. $20.
What broadcaster has ever turned down a free whatever?
Swag.
Yes.
You know what swag stands for?
Oh, I do stuff we all get.
Yeah. Blank we ain't got. But you substitute the B.
I knew what word you'd put in there.
Yeah. Durham tonight at 6:35. Did I see it? Is it? They're going to be handing out the first 1,000 people Sulphur Dell replica.
Yeah, it's a little ball.
I want one.
Well,
tell Doug Scopel to give me one.
See what I said about broadcasters wanting some for free.
Straight, I want
Here
one.
we go. Oh, this is the trade now.
Yes,
the shirt,
absolutely.
The shirt for the replica. We might be able to make that happen.
I'll be listening to you driving back.
Well, I'll try to keep you awake.
Yeah.
They're doing a Sulphur Dell replica. It's like the marquee, the entrance of the ballpark marquee, and like the brick wall, and they're really cool.
I was looking at it.
First 1,000 fans, first
999 fans,
right.
Get one.
Yeah, and if you get there and you just missed it, send an email or a call to Greg Pogue because he took your replica that should have been for you.
Yeah, I'll trade him a steak from Roy's.
That's a good deal. I'll take the steak. You could have my replica if I get the steak.
Obviously major league, but there's only 30 of those jobs.
Right.
That's,
Yeah. I mean, you have to. That's why I was saying earlier, like, how much I love the Sounds, and I'm thankful to work for the organization that I'm with and at the ballpark that I'm at and at the city that we live in. You have to be, and it's funny, like, I start to find myself mirroring what I hear players say about trying to get to the big leagues. Like, it's as cliche as it is. You have to be where your feet are, and we love it here, And so, major league jobs are hard to get. There's zero guarantee there'd ever be one that has my name on it. There's so many things that have to happen for that to happen. That like, you have to kind of not think about it and just. I'm so thankful to be where I'm at with the opportunities that I have in the city that we're in. So I'm doing fine.
Yeah,
I'm doing fine.
You did do an A's game, right?
I did. I did too. It's the only doubleheader I've ever been happy about. 2018, I was scheduled to do one game for the A's against the White Sox. We were an A's affiliate at the time. The day before got rained out, so I got my way into 2 games in the major leagues instead of 1. Yeah. And it's the only doubleheader I've ever been happy about.
Yeah. Well, tonight, 6:35, and you ABS. I've come to really like it.
There's nothing not to like.
Yeah,
there really isn't.
I didn't know if I would or wouldn't, but I do like it.
The challenge system marries the best of everything.
Yeah,
keeps the umpires important, shows that they're really good, and when they make a mistake, if the player has been strategic about their challenges or the catcher or the pitcher, they've got recourse for it, and it's quick. It doesn't impede the speed of the game. There's no negative. It's fantastic.
First pitch tonight right here on 94.9 The Fan, The Sounds. Jeff, thanks for stopping by, bud.
Good to see you, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll get you that bill. All right, thank you. Hey, thank you, Jake Steigelvest. Hey, everybody, Cats football up in F&M Bank Arena, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for listening.